Alright, here we go. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another night of Chasing Shadows. I'm Eric.
And I'm Dan.
Welcome to the show. We're doing this a little different tonight. Today was just kind of absolutely crazy, so we're going to do this recording and put it on. We will be back to doing some live feeds and some live questions most likely next week. We are doing stuff tonight on cryptozoology. We wanted to kind of touch base with some of the theories and thoughts that we have heard from the years, but also what we looked into. This is everything from Bigfoot to Chupacabra, Nessie, what else?
Mothman. There's a lot of different ones too. Jersey Devil is another one that I came across. The list goes on. I mean, there's a lot of them that are just based on lakes or sea monster type things. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of different ones out there.
Well, why don't we start with that Nessie and Champ and kind of go from there. We also know there's other ones that are called different names from around the world, like Ogopogo is another one. One of the theories I heard, and I don't know if they've actually proven this, but there was some talk that some of these freshwater lakes and tributaries, and not really tributaries, but lakes and larger water bodies might be connected. There was some thought that possibly Nessie and Champ could be one of the same.
Oh, okay.
That they think that there might be like a water channel that actually flows with current from one of the lakes to, across, through underwater somehow, and everything is tunneled and connected. I don't know.
So it would have to be below the surface, then you're talking.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
This would be like water caverns and stuff, and they think that that might be the way that some of the water actually comes into, like, say, Loch Ness and stuff like that, that they have underwater rivers, and it's possible that a creature could swim through this if it knew the right way. Whether that was ever proven or not, I'm guessing probably not, because they would have probably set a big breakthrough for something like that. But
of all the the cryptids, as they're called, I think the ones that probably have the most credence are the water-based ones.
Yeah.
I mean, just based on the fact that we've barely explored, 10% of the water on this planet. There could be a ton of different animals that exist under there that we'd have no idea of. There's new ones being discovered all the time.
Oh my God, yes, there is.
And other animals that are thought to have been extinct could still be alive. The deeper you go, you just really don't know.
Yeah, there was a fish that they thought was prehistoric up to, I think it was 20 years ago, and they actually pulled a live specimen out from the waters, and they're like, holy mackerel, this thing was supposed to be, gone. And, they're finding new stuff like that. And also, I don't know if maybe certain animals maybe evolve too. I mean, maybe that could be why some of these creatures are also going extinct, because they're also changing with the climate and everything else. And, but I mean, when you got something as big as Nessie, it's not a fish anymore. We're talking, there are people that have swore up and down to see it. We know that there's been trickery and fake photography.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up. That unfortunately, with every so-called legit sighting, there's as many hoaxes that come out. So it's really hard to separate, people who are being truthful to people who are hoaxing. So that is a problem.
The other thing I find amazing too is to find something that is as, I mean, we don't even really know the size of how big Nessie is supposed to be. I guess we kind of go with, what is it, the plesiosaurus is the closest thing, I think they say.
I'm not sure. We'd have to check that, but that sounds about right.
I think that's what they were saying. But hold on, folks. We're still doing this on a shoestring budget, so just excuse me a second. All right. Okay. Darn updates. Windows always wants you to update. I don't want to update. But one of the things that I found fascinating was I watched a documentary. I just told you about this. I watched a documentary. It was about cryptozoology, but it was a National Geographic documentary, and it was about Kruger National Park in South Africa. You guys could find this on YouTube. It's really cool. It's a really cool thing. I never even realized that.
That's
Kruger
the place that you were telling me about? Okay.
And they have what they call the Nile crocodiles.
Oh, that's right. I remember this now.
And along Kruger National Park is supposed to be one of these safe havens for these indigenous, and also they were almost wiped out of extinction, a chance to grow back, and they monitor them and they make sure that the births are going fine and everything else. Well, there's a group of scientists that they went out to just check on them, and they found a crocodile dead. So at first they thought, well, maybe it's just old age. Still don't know how long some of these creatures live for. I mean, 70, 80 years, 100 years, who knows, But these things are the closest link we have to a dinosaur, next to, I guess, a chicken, right? Because they say the chicken is is the closest thing, but...
And birds in general. I think, so.
Yeah. But where I'm going with this is they were talking about feeding habits, and they were talking about, how large this span of a national park is, and how they have feeding grounds, and they were watching these particular crocodiles, and all of a sudden they started finding more and more dead in this one area. And what they found was a form of catfish that swims and lives in there got poisoned somehow through a microorganism, and what it did is it started shutting down its organs. But it has a really weird effect. What actually happened is the organs become swelled and bloated. It pushes out pretty much every fluid out of the animal, and basically they said it almost turned the fat to wax. So it was almost like it was just killing the fish, and then the alligators or the crocodiles that ate the fish, they were getting the same thing. Their fats and their lipids were soliding up, and they eventually would starve to death. And it was horrible, These things are monsters, I realize, but still, when you see something that is basically like the tank of the animal world being shut down by fats and poisoning the system, it makes you go, holy mackerel, just think what we put in our systems, you know what I mean?
And you had mentioned, too, because I had asked that, how are these fish getting this? And that's not known, right?
Yeah, basically what they were saying is they first thought it was something to do with algae, that there could have been a bacteria that was laying in the algae just at the surface of the water. And at first they thought the crocs were getting it into their mouth, and somehow this was making it break down, but they said the metabolism of the crocodile is pretty strong. I mean, it's slow. It takes a while for food to break down, but they're such a robust animal, and they really are the link we have to dinosaurs. So they couldn't figure it out. They thought, well, maybe there was pollution going into this area. They checked with manufacturers and everything else, and what they found out was it was just some kind of bacteria that actually was in the water. These catfish would eat it, skim through it, eating whatever, they're scroungers, and then the crocodiles would eat them once they couldn't swim. So it became an easy plate, an easy dinner for these crocodiles, and that's why so many of them were actually found in this one area, because they didn't really have to hunt anymore. They got lazy. They ate the fish that were barely swimming, they got full, but then they started getting sick, then they started dying, and they kind of contributed to that. Where I'm going with this, too late, is, if you think of Nessie and stuff, and I mean, I'm sure that they've looked into this, but you want to make sure that if theoretically there is an animal like this out there, that ground or that area that it lives in is going to be plentiful enough for it to survive. You have an animal that is, let's say, 6 times the size of a hippo, just the body size. That's a lot of food, That's where they start thinking there might be like underwater tunnels, and maybe it connects to other, places. And I guess it would also depend if the water was brackish, because then if you had water coming in from the ocean, there would be plenty of food source there. But I just find it unusual that, again, it's kind of like with the Bigfoot thing. You have a handful of people that you probably would put money on that they actually saw it, and then there's a bunch of people you go, yeah, But a lot of these people that, say they saw it, I honestly believe they saw something, and they really believe what they saw.
Yeah, well, and you got to take into consideration too, a lot of these sightings go in
excuse me,
heavy, bush or forested areas.
Oh yeah.
Where, and say it's at night, you've got someone out there in the middle of the woods at night. they're going to be on edge a little bit.
Yeah.
And say there's a huge bear. I'm sorry, if you've ever been in the real thick, heavy woods, you can barely see 4 feet in front of you. So you take that into consideration, and there's this big animal you just get a quick glimpse of. How are you going to really know what it is?
Well, that's right.
That's why I think a lot of times it could be a bear sighting.
Absolutely.
A sudden movement, and you get scared. You just get a quick glimpse,
and they step up to see what's going on.
Yeah, exactly, because they can go up on 2 feet. Yeah.
And if you think about it, if a bear stands up on its hind legs, it's easily 7 feet tall.
Oh yeah, and I've been face to face with a bear standing up.
We've got some big ass bears down this area. It's. Listen, I would love to see anything. That's why we got into this, because I love the investigation behind it. I love the folklore, the stories. I love meeting people and hearing their stories. And we've did the ghost thing for so long, and we're starting to try to branch out and do other things, just simply for the fact that I will still investigate ghosts. I'm getting a little bit up there, as Dan will tell you. Sometimes I'm a little bit tired, but we're trying new things, and I certainly don't mind helping friends and families and other groups and stuff. So we're still out there for you, but we're also trying to spread out a little bit and try to see if we can understand some more of this stuff, like the cryptozoology stuff. The chupacabra is another thing. The goat sucker translates, right? And this woman in Texas, she's at the border of Mexico. She found an animal that was hit. This has been in all these documentaries and stuff. But to me, there's a Mexican hairless dog. If you get one of these that possibly mated with a coyote or a wolf, or a coyote-wolf hybrid, or a
you make a good point.
Coy dog,
because there are a lot of hybrids out there.
Oh my God!
You really don't know.
When you saw it, I felt bad for the animal. It looked just like a dog that was a hairless dog with a big mouth.
And I don't want to sound too woo-woo here, but with all the crazy genetic stuff we can do these days,
absolutely,
who knows what's going on? You want to get into some conspiracy stuff? The Dulce Base in New Mexico. Mm-hmm. There's a rumor that on one of the lower levels they've got a floor that they call Nightmare Hall because of all the crazy, scary genetic experiments they do down there involving animals and people. That's kind of scary.
Well, the freaking wackos, freaking psycho Nazis in Germany, they used to actually stitch heads of people on dogs, and stuff didn't live very long, but how fucking horrifying. Excuse my French, but you got to think of some stuff too. You have a lot of unfortunately animal experiments that have gone on for years that of course everybody says, oh no, it doesn't happen, bullshit. Well, so how do you know this thing didn't come from a lab, escaped, and it's dying, and it died, and this woman found it, and all of a sudden it's the chupacabra, and it's a hairless Mexican dog, and the poor thing lived a shitty life, and now you got it in a freezer somewhere. And when they did DNA testing, they didn't really find anything unusual about it. They found it was a canine species, possibly a hybrid wolf, and a hairless Mexican. So that pretty much tells you what it is. But, I get it. People want... Even doing this investigation, you go to places and you want it to be haunted. You want it to be this, and you want it to be there. And then you go there and then you're just like, huh.
Well, you know what, though? But it's important to mention, the way we look at things, we won't, as much as we'd want to see something haunted, we're not going to force it.
No, we don't fake it. Yeah, no. And
if we see that, there's a high electromagnetic field in the place, and we're dealing with, someone that, may have some mental health issues, we've got to take that into account.
And bad wiring.
And we've seen these things.
Yes, we have.
And we won't go and say, oh yeah, no, this place is haunted.
I can't.
We'll say, we're never going to tell someone that, oh no, it's not haunted, you're crazy.
No.
We're not going to say that. No. We're going to say, well, here's a possible explanation for what's going on.
Right. And if you get this addressed, we'll come back, we'll see how things are. But it goes the same thing with these animals. Just because you come across a species maybe you haven't seen or really quite understand because of mixed breeding or whatever, it doesn't automatically become a monster. I mean, the poor thing didn't look too good. I mean, obviously when they found it, it was, but I think cryptozoology is kind of a funny thing because you have so many scammers out there, just like you do in anything else. There was these idiots that took, I forget what it was. I think it was bear parts. And they said they put it into a big freezer, or they stored it in bags in a freezer, and they said it was the dead body of a Sasquatch. And what they did was, I guess they took the hair off of the bear and put some organs in there, thinking that people would just look.
If you've seen a bear without the fur, it's a scary.
It is a scary looking thing. Yeah. So that was the thing. I mean, the skull shape is different. They looked at things like that, and they found out it was a hoax. And now this guy, who supposedly bought the carcass off of two guys that he worked for him, or I don't know. It's a really crazy story. I don't really remember all of it, but anyway, found out it was a bunch of BS, and this guy's driving around the countryside with exhibits, for the Bigfoot, the Sasquatch, the real thing. And it's really sad because the thing is with all this bullshit, what happens if this thing really is real? Do you know what I mean? And we have a perfect opportunity to study it, but now everybody wants to just go and kill it for the sake of proving it's real.
And I think that's the mindset of a lot of people.
And it's so stupid. It's like, you know what? Why? Listen, if it hasn't been detected, by everybody by now,
it probably doesn't want to be.
Maybe leave it alone. Sometimes leave shit alone. Like again, I'm the first one that says, yeah, let's go check stuff out. But then when you start thinking about things and you start going, I don't know, So it is something that's new. Obviously, we're just checking into it. I had some reports I was going to bring. Today was just kind of a crazy day, and I got here literally off the road. Missy dropped me off to go home to make sure my mom got fed because I was gone since 10:30 this morning. So this is the first chance I've had to sit down and even discuss with Dan about this. So we're kind of doing this a little bit more relaxed, and it just feels good to be not chasing at the moment. But so I apologize if the show's not quite up to par where it normally is. But one of the other things I always found interesting too, and see, I don't know if Mothman would quite go into, I don't know if that falls into the cryptozoology. I guess it would.
Yeah,
because it's supposed to be half man, half beast, right? So I guess.
I mean, in a way, to fall into the cryptid categories, you could just say it's a mythical creature.
Yeah, I guess that would be the proper way, or what you thought was a mythical creature up to now.
Oh, I gotta ask you something that popped into my head. Did you see that supposed creature that somebody found? It literally looked like a little demon with wings. No. It was like a little flying. They had it, I don't know what they did to preserve it.
Right.
But they found this, I want to say that L.A. Marzulli was the guy that got involved with investigating it. He's quite famous in the that field.
He's the monster hunter, right? He's got the, is that the guy? He's got the black hat that's...
I'm not sure.
Got a goatee.
I've heard him on Coast to Coast. They hear him many times.
Yeah.
But anyways, they found this thing somewhere, and there was even it looked like pellets or BBs that was found inside of it. So someone's like, wow, this looks like someone shot this thing out of the sky with a buckshot or something. And for the longest time, they ran all these tests. They couldn't find anything to say it was a hoax. Finally, a seam was found somewhere, and they were able to figure out that it was a hoax.
It was bullshit. Yeah, it's too bad.
But it was an exciting story.
It is an exciting story. Yeah, I mean, it's cool when you hear we might have discovered a new species. You go, wow, that's cool, because it changes all the answers we thought we had up to this point.
I was disappointed when I found out it was a hoax, but I was glad that they found it out.
Right.
Because, as much as I'd like to see, exciting discoveries, I want it to be the truth.
Right.
I don't want to, fake things.
Yeah.
And just to say that they found it.
Yeah.
That's not right.
And the thing that we need to bring out too, a lot of the stuff that we talk about on this show is theories. It's not really necessarily proven science. So, when we talk about the alternate dimensions and stuff like that, they have proven the theory behind it, that it is possible. However, we know so little about it, we're kind of speculating at this point, and you know, that could open up a ton of stuff too with even the dinosaurs. I mean, if there's a time slip or there's some kind of a loop and this thing could sneak through, or it knows, like you said, maybe there's a wormhole through time, or you know, or those underwater caverns that get you from one side of, you know, the Earth to the other side of the Earth, but doesn't necessarily go completely through the center, but skims across it.
Yeah.
You know, listen, we don't have any idea because we're spending too much time with our heads in the stars. And not saying that we shouldn't, but I think we should really get to know this Earth more so than anything else, because we're really stuck here.
Yeah, we know more about the moon than we know about our own ocean.
Isn't that sad? What I want to know is, how does that moon pull the ocean and make the tides change? I always thought that was cool, from the gravitational pull and stuff. I mean, obviously I answered it, but it's such a weird thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How does something so many miles away influence the waters? But it does.
Gravity in itself is just a strange force.
Well, I was going to say, so if that happens, and we know it happens, and we know that is scientifically proven, then how the hell don't we know there's not a fucking Bigfoot walking around somewhere out there?
You know, getting back to what we were, talking about multiverses, what's funny about multiverses is it can conveniently tie pretty much everything together.
Yeah.
You can make scientific sense out of pretty much any topic.
It is the Kevin Bacon of the paranormal.
Yeah. But
everything could get linked back to it.
Going back to Bigfoot, personally, if it's real, I believe it's a multi-dimensional creature.
Listen, for all of you who say, oh, hogwash or this or that, you know what? Listen, we know so little about it. It's quite possible. Listen, what do I always say now? Wouldn't surprise me, right?
Yeah,
That's my newest saying. It's something my dad would say, and as I get older, I'm turning more into my father, which I hope is a good thing. He was an awesome guy. But yeah, I mean, it kind of boggles my mind that this Earth that we live on, we know so little about, and a little about the creatures. And when somebody happens to witness something that's just a little off color or just a little off normal, everybody goes, it's bullshit. But you know what? What about all these people that first found any species of animal and they first told somebody about it? They probably got the same thing. It's bullshit. Because I didn't find it. I didn't find it. You found it, so how do I know you're not making it up? Same reason I don't think you're making up your stuff.
Like when the was it Darwin? I think it might have even been Darwin himself went to the Galapagos Islands.
Yeah.
There was an array of animals and organisms that weren't even thought of were discovered there.
They're discovering more stuff in the rainforest. Think about this. This is something else I want you guys to think about. You guys think, in the United States, we've seen all there is to see. We can't, Grab a map. Grab a globe.
There's a lot of unexplored forests.
Yeah, and think of this. We are connected by land base to South America. If something really wanted to migrate, you don't think that it would be able to stay on the edge of the border or stay out of sight and stay away from noise because it knows that that's something it's not used to. You're going to tell me that something can't migrate from there to here, but yet in the middle of this rainforest, which I understand is ginormous, I get it, it's the size of all the United States plus, but where I'm going with this is we really cannot rule out anything. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's so easy to say, it's bullshit. Nah, that doesn't exist, because it frightens you a little bit or makes you not want to think that that's alive. I mean, look at the monsters we have in the ocean. We're just finding the giant squids within the last 10 years. There's talks about ginormous sharks that are maybe not as big as, the megalodon, but they're proven. I mean, they just found a freaking great white shark that was over 20-something feet in length, which is the size of Jaws, for Christ's sakes. So, if you start saying, well, it's not possible something that big could live out there because of food, well, they proved it already. And let's face it, if you're that big on the food chain, you're going to eat whatever's in your way. You know what I'm saying? What's going to stop you? I mean, except for maybe a pack of orcas, which would kill a shark. No matter how big that shark is, you get a pack of orcas, it's taking that sucker down. But Ironically enough, for probably a lot of you who don't really know me or know of me, but when I was growing up in school, I was fascinated by the ocean. I always wanted to get into oceanography and stuff, and it wasn't in the cards. Didn't have money for school and all that stuff. But I was always fascinated by it. I love the water. I would love to live by it and just look at it all day and just chill out. And it's amazing when you open your eyes and take a step out of the busy day and out of the monotony. If you just open your eyes or open your ears and listen and look around, what you can see and find. I mean, this has to do with cryptozoology, but did you notice, like, these last couple years, we've seen this really big outspread of these beautiful black little birds with these orange tinted wings. Underneath the wings, they're orange. And I call it a Halloween bird because it looks like that, you know. And I've lived in this state my whole life, and only up to probably the last past maybe 3-4 years, I've never noticed these things.
I've never seen one.
No, there was one in my front yard. I'm going to take a picture of it next time I see it, excuse me. But you know, it's amazing. I mean, even if you see little changes that's happening in our environment, you got to think of that, how it impacts the wild, and why wouldn't the wild move where things are better? Obviously, they're going to. Better fishing, better feeding, better living, peaceful living. So, you know, I mean, this country, we still haven't really explored all of it. There are corners of this country we haven't even been in yet. You know, British Columbia, Oregon, Washington State. I realize that everybody's saying, oh, it's been picked through with the trees. That place is so freaking enormous. If you fly over that in a plane, in our lifetime, we could not take down all those trees. There is no way we would be able to take down all those trees. I'm not saying we should, and I'm not saying, but I'm saying, you know, everybody's impacted of how much damage we've done through the years. It's already been proven that pretty much climate change changes anyway. I'm not saying we don't help with our pollution. I'm sure we do, and we are responsible for it, and we should make things better as best as we can. But when you talk about these massive floods that wiped out these animals and dinosaurs and everything else through the years, and floods 400 feet deep, washing trees and everything away, and the forest comes back. You can't be too worried about getting caught up with, you know, we're devastating the forests and lands. We take what we need to build. I'm not saying it's right. I love trees. I love the forest. But where I'm going with this is there's so many parts of this world, and even in this country, that are not touched yet. You know, and I'm not saying we should, and I'm not saying we should ruin it or any of that, because
we definitely need some conservation.
Yeah, but we need to study this stuff too before we just start, you know, making all these observations, and especially in a world today where everybody has a voice, and a lot of people don't do homework, but definitely want to state their voice and take things out of context and get people in trouble left and right. You know, starting this is risky. Starting this webcast, we're trying to be careful and very, as much as I am not politically correct, nor will I ever be politically correct.
I'm with you.
You kind of have to. So you find yourself biting tongues and not trying to, you know, step out of that box. But just when you see what's going on today with the world and the areas we live in and the animals and the questions of, you know, some people believe dinosaurs never existed.
Most of those are the flat Earth people.
Yeah, flat Earth people, but a lot of the highly religious too. Yeah, they believe that the Earth's 10,000 years old and or 12,000.
I thought it was 6,000 years old.
Is that what it is?
But that makes no sense because
you got dirt that's older than that, man.
Exactly.
I mean, they can prove that, you know, through the frozen crust, the water.
Do you know what their response
else.
to that would be? That God put it there like that.
Well, you know, essentially, I do agree. God, you know, if you believe in a higher being, you know, yes, this all was created by a power bigger than us.
And personally, I do believe.
Oh, I do too.
However,
I do too.
I put no stock in organized religion.
Well, it's kind of hard because you see what's kind of going on with that. Now you also have, there's always been a clash with science and religion. Always. There has always been a clash.
And when we do our show on Anunnaki and ancient astronaut, I'll have a little spiel where it gives a possible explanation to where religion came from.
And that's important.
It really it makes sense whether or not you buy it or not. And I don't know if it's true or if it's complete BS.
But it makes sense.
But it's an interesting story, and the pieces fit.
I'll tell you, it's amazing when you think about how much and how fast this Earth changes. Just think about this a second.
When you say that, it's in, the broader term.
Yeah.
To us, it would seem like a long time, but in the grand scheme of the universe,
it's a blink.
Yeah, it's a blink.
It's a blink.
Absolutely.
And think about how young this planet is. Really, when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, too.
It's 4 billion years old, I think.
Yeah. So there's still a lot of life and growth left here. 16 billion years. They say the sun's going to burn out. I guess they say that's probably about 16 billion years. Maybe the sun will burn out. They're speculating again. Listen.
Eventually it will.
I will not be around. Do I want it to happen? No. But is it going to happen? That's not in our control. Mm-hmm. There's certain things that are just not in our control. Mm-hmm. And going back to the cryptozoology thing is, with that being said, science does not like new discoveries as much as you would think.
No, it's and I'll tell you, a big reason for it has to do with these are people that have put their whole careers on things that they've taught, books they've written, and they feel like that if things change, then the work that they've done in the past is no good. But they're wrong. It's still important.
Absolutely, it's important because it was still a first step into the right direction.
I'll tell you, who are some of the worst at that are the Egyptologists. I'm telling you, the pyramids were not built in 2500 BC. There's no chance they were. And the Sphinx was not either. The Sphinx is older than
and
those.
Here's something to think about, too. And I know we're getting off topic going into that, but think about this, too, going with climate change. We look at Egypt now as Egypt as we see it now. We don't know what the hell it looked like back then. It could have been a forest. It could have been. Think about it.
They believe it was really had a lot of vegetation.
I would think so because you got people living. Yes, there's still people living there, and I realize a lot of them are living in bad shape. But it's just weird because you think about. We think of the land as how we see it now, and it was completely different than this. Before all the big earthquakes and the tidal waves happened and the comets.
You go back to the end of our last ice age, which was approximately 13,000 to 11,600 years ago.
Yep.
And where we're sitting right now would have been covered by the North Atlantic ice plate.
It's 40 miles thick or something like that?
It was 2 miles thick.
2 miles thick. Yeah. Well, I was off on that one. See? Still, 2 miles thick of solid freaking sheet of ice. What hairspray caused that, huh?
Yeah, right.
Well, it's but going with that, and this does link it all together. How do we know that some of these animals, like these mountain gorillas, as I call Bigfoot a mountain gorilla, went to this area that was filled with food. The climate was a little better for him. Maybe it's exactly what he wanted, or she wanted, or they wanted. And they settled there. And, for hundreds and hundreds of years, nobody went into these deep, deep forests until some of the logging started happening. But maybe these things were migrating out of the center of the forest a little bit more to see what was around the area. And once in a while, you catch something. Or Bigfoot is full of crap, and it's just a big bear. That's quite possible, too. I don't know, but I just find it almost insanely impossible that we're the only landmass that wouldn't have, the United States is the only area in the world that doesn't have some form of ape or gorilla.
And I know we mentioned this once before, but it's science fact that 16,000 years ago, I could be off with my numbers, but there was a upright walking, ape that fits Bigfoot's description. It could have been as long as 100,000 years ago. I really don't know. But there was a creature that fit that description that roamed the earth, in this area back then. So who's to say
it's
there wasn't
possible.
a descendant of it that's still
possible.
around?
And who knows? Maybe. Listen, the Native Americans believe that Sasquatch was actually a guardian of the land. Certain tribes believe that it was a higher being, as a guardian looking over the land, to make sure that it was treated with discipline and honor and respect and everything that was handed down from forefathers.
And if you take that approach,
how do we know?
It becomes more of a supernatural type
spiritual,
element, or a multidimensional type animal. So
that's where I'm going with it. Yeah. I mean, who's to say when you're having a vision quest? It's like you said, is it a lucid dream or is it an actual fact where you're actually traveling into another dimension? And quite simply, that I think dreams are kind of the other dimension. You kind of get a touch of it, what it's like to be in a true three-dimensional world.
We should do a show on dreams.
Let's do it.
Lucid dreams and astral projection, that sort of thing.
I got stuff that'll knock your socks off, man.
Well, we could definitely fill up a full show on that.
And that was something I was going to say. I just saw Karen Kilmartin is going to be starting a show on Facebook. I believe it's in August. It's coming up. I received a message. Definitely going to support you, hon. I hope it all goes well. If you really want to check out somebody who is really cool and could really make you stop and ponder, check it out. Check out Karen Kilmartin's show. It'll be coming up. Definitely want to talk to her too, and I would love to do a show with her, whether it's on her show or my show or our show or whose show or whatever.
Or we could maybe even
do a multicast. Yeah, that'd be kind of fun. Yeah.
We do a show, but we put it on both.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Of media, that'd be
absolutely
great.
I would do that.
She's amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing.
And anybody out there, guys, if you want to do something together, we have the equipment. The only thing we need to do is actually put a hard wire to your internet, so we'll be able to stream properly, and we're still working on that here. We might move this to my house to the dining room table because I got a box that I can actually hardwire in. So maybe we might try that next week.
We could do that.
Why don't we just give it a shot, see if that takes care of it? If it does, great. Then we know we'll get either a unit here or move it there or whatever. Whatever. My thing is I just want to make this as clear as we can for people, but also make it so they can interact with us, because that's where my next focus is to take this and have it where we can have phone calls, and we can have, like we said, we want to get your sister in, we want to get Missy in, or anybody else, Diana, Donna, any of you ladies want to come in and talk about ghost shows, we're still going to do those too, so we're not ruling anything out. We're just trying to make this interesting, so if there are people who don't like ghosts and they like Bigfoot and monsters, they've got this show. And for all the people who like ghosts and vampires and stuff, we're still going to do shows on them. We're just trying to break it up so it's a little more interesting. We also talked about conspiracies and stuff like that, fun stuff. So those are all things we're going into. But there is one I wanted to talk to you about as far as cryptozoology goes.
And if it wasn't this one, I wanted to talk a little about the Mothman too. So
okay, let's go into that.
Okay.
Mine could wait because mine is something that I saw that was strange. But yeah, this is cool. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. Yeah, people might be familiar with this because the movie that came out, The Mothman Prophecies,
that was a great movie.
It was a great movie, obviously.
But they
dialed it up a little for Hollywood, or a lot.
It's like The Innkeepers. It was loosely based on true facts.
But the true story happened between 1966 and 1967, and this was in Point Pleasant, Virginia. There was some sightings of a winged creature that kind of looked like a part moth and part humanoid type thing.
West Virginia's a weird place, man. There's a lot of weird goings on there, and I don't mean. And I'm not making fun of the people. The people are amazing, but I mean, there's a lot of sightings of different stuff down there. There was a lizard man. There was a werewolves, and who the hell knows? But going back to this, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
no, that's
you.
all right. The first incident happened on November 12th, 1966. There was 5 men who were digging a grave in a cemetery. They claimed to see this man-like figure flying low near the trees and kind of went over their heads. This has been documented as like the first known sighting of the Mothman. The second sighting was the one that people are more familiar with. There was a couple, or I should say 2 young couples, like see a large gray creature whose eyes glowed red.
Okay. That always gets me, glowing red.
And I want to say that there was a couple that were like sitting in their car, kind of like doing what couples do.
Sure.
And
they weren't brother and sister, were they?
No. And they saw the glowing red eyes, and apparently the person like became blinded, and their face got all red. It almost looked like something that would happen with like a, radiation or something. I don't know for sure if that part is true or if that was kind of made up for the movie, but in this about a year, there was just multiple sightings of this creature. Just really bizarre.
I gotta say, through all the years of everything I've witnessed and thought I saw, if I'm not exactly sure I saw, I've never seen red glowing eyes, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? I listen. I don't know what would cause eyes to glow red except for a reflection of light. If they have some form of source where they make their own batteries to glow like zany zappers. Remember those zany zappers? They were sunglasses with these little red lights, and you'd have a switch and you just press it against the battery and your lights would light up and look like you had a little red glowing. They're so stupid. But anyway, I mean, I have a hard time with red glowing eyes.
Most people do.
They say Bigfoot has red glowing eyes. I don't know about that. They said this Mothman had red glowing. Listen, I don't think I'm going to be focusing on its eyes if I see this humanoid man-shaped thing flying across the sky. I'm not going to be like, look at its eyes, it's glowing. I'm going to be like, what the fuck is that thing?
Now, what do you think that some possible explanations could this to be that aren't supernatural or out of the ordinary? Again, we got to take into account, like we did with the Bigfoot.
Yeah,
that
I know.
You got people that
it's not a bear.
See something, yeah.
It's not a bear.
People are, a little scared, excited. Our memories can betray us sometimes, and we can end up embellishing things.
The Mandela effect. There's something about this.
To that, because I have personal
That's a whole other story by itself. Yeah.
Just quickly going into that though, the big one for me is the Berenstain Bears.
Yeah.
Now I grew up.
It was
Berenstain, and the reason I know that is because I always questioned, should I pronounce it Stein or Steen?
I've said the same thing.
And I would not question that if it was Stain.
Right.
So I'm sorry, but that one gets me.
It's weird. Let's do that. Let's do a show about that next week. Let's do the Mandela effect.
Mandela effect next week? Okay.
And alternate dimensions, and then we'll go into Anki and all that the following week. So what we'll do is we'll slowly progress into that.
Sure.
And then we'll come back to the supernatural stuff and start coming into the ghosts and the stuff like that, because there's a lot of stuff that goes with UFOs with the multi-dimension idea too, and that I know we touched with one of our variety shows, or I'll say our appetizer shows, where we just kind of threw in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
We are planning on going over that stuff. We just want to do some more homework on it and make sure that we get the facts that we can find. Hopefully they will do us justice, and also, hopefully shed some light.
As we get more into this, we get more comfortable with working with the technology. Yeah. We kind of get in our niche. We'll start getting a little bit more in depth and stuff too. We've been kind of just touching the subjects a little bit.
Well, I think we're definitely
in some personal we're
definitely getting more relaxed, which is good.
Oh yeah.
I think it's more like it's second nature now. Now, I look forward to this at the end of the day. Like, all right, now it's time to go have some fun.
Absolutely.
At first it was kind of like, oh, okay, I'm a little scared, but now it's like, this is as scary as it gets. It's pretty cool. There's no problem, and we have, we're being very successful underground. We have 12 whole followers now. So, hey, that's 12 more than we had before, man. So you know what? Keep them coming in. Tell your friends and family. And listen, we're just trying to have some fun and have you guys have fun with us.
What we're doing is we're having the same conversations we normally had, but now
without a camera.
We're in front of a camera with a microphone and a headset. That's really the only difference.
Pretty much it. So. Yeah. It's it's kind of cool because this is a really somewhat inexpensive way to get out there, and even if it's only the people that we've helped that follow us. Excuse me, I'm also extremely tired. 3 hours of sleep these last 2 nights, not good. I apologize. But it's kind of cool because at least this way we can reach out in a different way too, and we tried Skype some years back. We tried doing an interaction show with some folks in Florida. That didn't go over so well, because it was choppy like how it is now, So that was because I didn't have things hardwired. I didn't think of that, and I was always.
What was this?
Years back, probably. Let's see, we were still on Hill Street, so it was probably maybe 08. There was white noise. There was this really, really awesome guy who befriended me and Melissa and us on Supernatural, and he since passed away. His name was Bob. He was a great guy, but he did a show, bigger budget than this, a little bigger budget than this. They were doing this, and it was called White Noise.
Oh, okay.
And it's on our webpage and stuff, and you can look it up. And Ian was the main host, but it was an interesting show. It was kind of like get your feet wet, learning how to do this. But we did it over Skype. We had no microphones. I was plugging in the kid's microphone for the Xbox to make a microphone because we didn't own one. It was the only one we had for rock band or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it was really mismatched, and I said, there's no reason why I couldn't do a show like that if I got somebody to help me with it, and we can have a good time. We just have discussions, and then I'm a huge fan of Joe Rogan. I watch his show. I like him because he touches on all kinds of topics. But unlike him, who doesn't believe in the paranormal as much, I do. So, I said, well, I want to make my own little...
You watched some of his older stuff, and he was much more open to it in the past.
He was, yeah. I think after a while, people, they start believing that just if there isn't enough proof, it's nonsense. But you might be looking for proof in the wrong areas, too. You got to really... Listen, there's stuff that...
Proof of or absence of proof is not proof of absence.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because you're not necessarily looking in all the correct areas. You're looking where everybody else looked before. You need to think outside of the box and look at it differently. And the thing is a lot of these researchers and scientists, they kind of base their claims on always trying to outprove everybody. So what they do is they study so hard on what's in front of them that this other person wrote, and then say, okay, well, how could this be different and how does this change? But the answer may not even be there. You might have to look in other areas. Yeah. And I don't want to follow somebody's same pattern. I want to do something that's, an original thing. Somewhere where we can have, like I said, we have fun and chill out and I think it's... we're having a good time.
Oh, absolutely.
I guess that's all that really matters. So. Yeah. I hope you are too, but But
we have a visitor.
Oh yes, we've got kitty cats that
Asia.
Come and visit. It's cutie.
So want to say hi, Asia?
You want to say hello, sweetie?
Come say hi.
You want to say hello?
Say hi.
This is our attack kitty. She's a Bengal, right?
Yep.
She's so cute. She's such a good little girl. There she is.
There she is.
Say hello,
say
Asia.
Hi, Asia.
She said, "No, Dad, get me out of here. I'm out of here. I'm going." But yeah, she's a cutie. But see, Cryptozoology. We just had ourselves a real live little miniature.
Here's a real hybrid right here.
Hybrid right there, right.
Yeah. For those who aren't aware, a Bengal is a hybrid of a Asian leopard cat, which is a wild animal, and a domestic. So,
no kidding.
So if you have if you have one that's got the wild cat for, a parent, and then domestic, you've got a first generation, F1 as they call it. I'm not sure what exactly she is. I'm guessing Asia would be an F2.
Okay.
Because she still has some of her wildness to her.
Yep.
But she's very docile.
She's legal. She's legal to own.
Oh, it's still legal to own F1s.
No,
not in every state, but
yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't. It changes from state to state. I know that
most states it's legal, but
in Connecticut,
I know Massachusetts. I don't believe. Well, Savannahs, I don't believe are legal in Massachusetts. I'm not sure if the Bengals are or not.
Is that the same thing as a sorrel?
A serval?
Serval? Yeah. Okay. That's bigger, right?
A Savannah is the offspring of a serval in a domestic.
So it's smaller.
Yeah, well, Savannahs are big cats.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
But the servals are quite big.
Yeah. They're like the size of an actual bobcat, right? They're
bigger than a bobcat.
They are bigger than a bobcat.
Bobcats aren't that big.
They can get meaty, right?
Yeah, I've actually seen a video where someone had a bobcat for a pet.
No kidding.
It was such a sweet animal
They're so pretty. So pretty.
But yeah, so kind of Savannahs and Bengals look very similar. You'll notice the Savannahs are taller though, and they've got longer ears.
Okay, yeah, they got almost like a lynx. They've got the horns on the ears, right?
Yeah.
They're pretty though. I know that. I think in Vegas you can have them. In Nevada, I think you can have them. I don't think you can in Connecticut. I think there was something about somebody here.
You talking about an actual serval?
Yeah, they wanted a pet, and the state said either you find a home for it, or we have to destroy it, or you can get arrested or whatever. I don't know how I feel about it. Listen, if you're taking care of it, you take it to the vet. It's not hurting anybody, as long as it's not the size of a fucking mountain lion. You know what I'm saying?
Too is some vets just either aren't equipped or aren't willing to work with them.
Think about it. You've got a cat that's 8 times the size of a house cat.
Not quite that, but
6
still
times.
Pretty big.
Six times maybe, but still, think about it. They weigh 40 pounds. Average cat weighs 8 to 10. 10's a big cat.
Yeah. Sophie over there, another Bengal of mine, she's probably in the 16-pound range, I would guess. I bet you Asia's 7 pounds.
Domino is a big ass cat. I don't know what she is. When we weighed her, she wasn't quite a year old. And then she weighed 11 pounds, and she's hefty now. But she doesn't eat much. But we're not exactly sure whether they're Maine Coon or I say they're part Ragdoll. My wife says no, but my wife will say no, so she can always yell at me and argue with me. I know this isn't live, so I'm sure there'll be some comments there. I love you, Missy. But. Actually, she knows a lot more about them than me. To me, they're just a cute fud-dud cat, and I love them. But the girls seem to really know more of the species of, what the cats are. But I know they're hybrid because they're half, long-haired and half whatever. But it's weird too. That's the other thing too. People think that hybrid means genetically altered by science, but not necessarily. Listen to this. AKC. Supposed to be purebred animals, right? Purebred this, purebred that. Someone gets bored or some kind of mistake happens, and all of a sudden a poodle mates with a Labrador, and now they made this brand new dog.
The Labradoodle?
The Labradoodle. and it is to be approved in dog shows. Well, wait a minute. It's a mutt now. It is no longer. You ruined the bloodlines of both animals. Actually, you ruin the bloodlines by just keep mating brothers and sisters over again, and that's why these animals get so sick.
With these, trying to keep that, blood pure.
You're killing them.
End up,
You're killing them, and that's why these dogs, like German Shepherds that were stout and could live to be 13, now you're lucky if you get 6 years out of the poor things.
Oh, that's awful.
It's horrible, but that's man trying to play God, I guess. It just doesn't work.
The egos of people, I tell you.
Yeah. There's a point when you start going, should we be doing this? And that's really when humanity should come out. We have enough animals that we can save on this planet. We don't need to be introducing new ones that we can't take care of the old ones with. The feeding and the how much is the health care of these animals. The average person, I could tell you we're not wealthy by any means, and we love our animals as much as we do our kids, and we want to keep them healthy. And you get those vet bills in, and you're like, oh my God. you know. So with also the science that we're learning with these breeds and, you know, the cryptozoology, we should be able to figure out ways to make lives better for our animals too. Not just, you know, what's out there, but as humans, we just scratch the surface. You know, I mean, we think we know all, we think we've got all the answers, and we just don't have.
We are so arrogant as a race, and it's sad because we really we can learn from each other.
We can learn from each other if we just listen to.
As much as we know as a species, we don't know shit.
Well, I still say that 90% of our answers can be found here. 90%. That doesn't mean all of them. Yes, we do need to look at the stars and ancient calendars and all that. All that stuff makes a difference. Listen, we base our life and our religions, I said with an S, on our forefathers and how we're brought up in our families and in our societies because we're told it's the right thing. You know, with all these animals that are out there, we were told Bigfoot's not real. We were told this isn't real. You know, Chupacabra's not real. This and this isn't real. But those are also people who maybe don't open their eyes enough to things going around. You know, there's new discoveries, again, like we said, every day. And I gotta be honest with you, man. You ever watch like a documentary, a good one? I'm not talking about like, you know, these ones that are just filled with just. And when I say this, forgive me, everybody out there who's doing paranormal stuff, because I do believe it's true. But what I call paranormal junk or paranormal crap, where people are using very well educated words to make it sound like they know what they're talking about, and all the theories are BS. I honestly, you know, it's as I get older, and the more I read and the more I learn, it seems the less I know. You know, I mean, just the thought of something like, all right, let's put it this way: if I was to describe an animal to you that you've never seen before in life, and let's just pick an animal out. All right, let's say you never saw a hippopotamus. I saw it. Mm-hmm. You've studied animals, let's say, and never ever for some reason saw one. Now I come to you and say, okay, yeah, you know, I saw you do this research. Listen, there's this animal. It's big, probably about the size of maybe a small pickup truck. Its head is so big, its jaws are so powerful that they've been known to kill alligators. Yet they're soft, they're huge, and they're more dangerous than anything else on this earth. And I said to you, and it lives in the water and the land. Well, first thing you're going to think about is, what the fuck can kill an alligator? What can kill? You're making this shit up. There's no way. And what? I mean, a tiger, a lion, those things are going to kill a human, you know? You until you actually see this animal up close, and I have, and these were domesticated because they were inside of a zoo. But still, when you get close to these things and you notice how enormous they are and how powerful they are, you know. And I'm not talking I was close like I could touch it, because obviously you can't, you know. But if I was to tell you about that and you never saw one before, you would think I was full of shit. You'd be like, what? There's no animal that could do that. There's no, you know what I mean? And when you look at it in pictures, you'd look at it and you say, it looks like nothing but a big walrus, you know, basically walking on four legs. What, I mean, how dangerous could this thing be?
Seen those teeth?
There was a guy actually it was in Kruger Park, the one I saw with the alligators. They were feeding hippos heads of cabbage, throwing it into their mouths. Excuse me, my allergies. These heads of cabbage inside of the mouth of this enormous beast, they looked so small, they looked like softballs. You know what I'm saying? So you think how big, that's the size of our head roughly. Cabbage is the size of a person's head, give or take. And you're throwing these things into this mouth, and it looks like a softball. You know, I mean, they're huge. So if you have something that big, and I try to explain it to you, you're not going to believe it. Somebody sees Bigfoot, they know what they saw. They've been around bear their whole life. They've been in the woods their whole life. They've lived and were born and raised in towns that are just desolate. That's all there is. They spend their time in there, and they see these things. You know, who am I to say they're not real? I say I want to see it to believe it. I want to be able to say, yeah. I have a problem with a lot of the photographs, too.
Well, I mean, you take that, what was the name of the video? The
real popular one from the 60s,
yeah. It was said that was a hoax.
Yeah, they said that it was thought up by movie studios, and they got the...
For a long time, though, I mean, and there's still people, even though people have said it's a hoax,
I don't know
they
if
still
it's a
believe
hoax.
it.
I don't know if it's a hoax, because here's something that... Listen, I've done special effects before. We've done special effects makeup. Nothing into... nothing like you would see in movies today, but we did a lot of effects makeup and stuff through the years, me and my wife. And we know costumes. We know how costumes react. We know how padding costumes react. We know that it doesn't move like muscle. But there are parts and clips in that video where you can actually see the tone in the muscle in the arms of this thing. And a suit's not going to have definition. A suit just... I mean, today they might. But we're talking 60s, right? We're talking way back when this film was early 70s, late 60s.
Is that what it was? I can't remember
Yeah, and see, this is why I have a brain fart. I have it written down with all the information of who it is. Please look that up.
I'm going to look that up.
Because it's not going to help us if we can't think of what the guy's name is. And it's right at the tip of my tongue, and I can't. Anyway,
the Patterson Gimlin film.
I was thinking, I know there's a company in town here with the same name, Patterson Oil. Patterson, yeah.
Yeah, there's the picture of it.
But, and I know you guys can't see this, but you guys can look this up. If you guys look up the Patterson Gimlin film, there's going to be a still photograph of what looks like a person in a gorilla outfit standing behind a...
You can watch the video, too. I mean, that'll be on there.
But, the thing is, though, is I don't... I'm not so sure. I mean, when you look at this, you go, okay, yeah, if it's a fake, and it probably is.
I think that one of the people admitted to it.
Yeah, there was somebody who said they were the person in the suit, I guess.
Okay.
But I got to tell you,
of course, anybody could have said that.
Well, and I got to tell you this though, and it probably is a hoax, but it is a damn good hoax. Because when you see the way that this person, the length of the step that they take, this person had and it's not unreal. You can find people that are 7 feet tall. Got basketball players that big. So to say, oh, there's nobody that big. Yes, there are. There are people that are that big. They're hard to find. However, going back into the Bigfoot theory, if I told you that there was a 7-foot man out there walking around, you'd be like, bullshit. 6 feet as tall as you go, man. But they've proved. I mean, obviously there's proof. I mean, we've got basketball players that would fit it. So who knows? Maybe they got a 7-foot guy. Maybe it was Andre the Giant. Who the hell knows, right? It could have been. They used Andre and Steve Austin. He was the guy who played the Sasquatch in The $1 Million Man, I believe.
Oh, okay.
You have to fact check that.
Fact
check that. I think it was Andre the Giant.
I know Andre the Giant was in The Princess Bride.
Yes, he was. Hello, little lady. Yeah, I remember him. Yeah. But yeah, it's look at. I don't know. I mean, I look at that film and I see what looks like a gorilla. But when people talk about it now, I guess when I see the photograph, I don't know, man. It's got breasts though. You know what I mean? That's the other thing. Why would you have breasts on a... You know what I mean? There's just things about it, but there's also things I don't understand. It's like when you look at this, you see how it looks like it's naked on the stomach, under the breast have hair. I don't know, man. I can tell you this. Nothing would surprise me. But I going back to my theory that there are other countries, other continents in this world that have gorillas, and we have just as much foliage, just as much vegetation, and we don't. Why? I don't understand. Maybe when Noah packed up the ark, he put them all in there and just shipped them all over to China, maybe, I guess. I don't know.
My theory on Noah's Ark is, it's too far-fetched to believe that truly all these animals were put on a boat.
Think how big it would have to be.
I believe it was a genetic library. It was DNA of a lot of creatures.
Or it was somebody who was trying to save animals and gathered as many as he could to try to bring over to other areas, and maybe that's why certain areas have gazelle and we don't. And I mean think about the United States by itself. We have parts in here that are so dry it's just like the deserts in the Middle East. We have rainforests here. Washington State has a rainforest. A lot of people don't even realize that. We actually have a rainforest in this country, but it's not, anywhere the size of what you'd find in, the Amazon and stuff, but we do. I mean, so there's still chances of studying what we have right here, without having to fly all the way across the world. See what we got in this country first to see if we can understand and see if we can unlock some doors. There's so many clues yet to how we as a species even came about. Adam and Eve, listen, I believe there was an Adam and Eve. I really do. I just don't think if it necessarily fits into the same Adam and Eve everybody thinks about.
It's funny you bring that up because it actually has to do with a comment I was going to follow up on about Noah's Ark. And what we were talking about, kind of hinting at the Anunnaki thing. And if you want to read a great document, it's a Sumerian document called Atrahasis. There's actually 3 documents from Sumer that I think everyone should read. The first one is the Enuma Elish, which is the epic of creation according to Sumerians. The second one is the Atrahasis, which is an earlier version of the story of Noah's Ark.
Really?
Yeah, and then also the Epic of Gilgamesh, which also talks about the Noah story. Atrahasis being another name for Noah. Utnapishtim is another name that he was known by. And it really, we talk about tying things together.
Yeah.
Very interesting stuff. Those are 3 documents, and you can find them translated. It's an amazing story, and you take a look at a couple of these stories, and they line up with a lot of biblical stories, but they're much older than the Bible.
Well, that also goes into the great floods, as you and I talked about, along with the ice age melting, and that documentary I just saw. 400. You can't even imagine. Imagine being in your yard right here, and above you is 400 feet of water, and it came over you like that. First of all, you're not going to be alive. You wouldn't have to worry about it. Second of all,
the pressure of that crashing down on you.
Think about that a second. That means that everything that we are living on at this point is sediment that got washed around the earth when all this stuff happened. And that's why some areas are so lush and green and so amazing, and certain areas are...
I told you about, in I believe it was Washington, that Randall Carlson had shown pictures of, where you've got... You look at it from a distance and you're like, oh, it looks like the little ripples you'll see like on a beach. But we're talking about ripples that are 90 feet tall.
Yeah.
And there's just... maybe not that tall, but
they're taller than you would than a person.
Maybe it was 9 feet tall, with like 4 feet in between them.
Yeah,
just amazing.
I mean, even to think of the pressure of that. And the other thing is when people think of floods, I mean, unless you've experienced it, you don't realize it's not just water. It's not just like
it's everything that water is taking with it.
Trees, houses, mountains, dirt, boulders the size of a house getting washed away on 60, 80 mile an hour currents. that are just blasting through, almost like water blasting, if you will.
If you're afraid of drowning in that, you're more likely
not gonna even
to
know.
get killed by something else before that.
Let's put it this way: if it's coming, you ain't gonna. That's it. You're not even gonna. There's not a chance. There's not a chance. But that being said, with all of this going on in the earth and everything settling down and then animals going where they call home, we look at the United States as pretty much everything we need to see we've seen. Everything
So not true.
Listen, we live in every state, but there's still so much of every state you haven't seen. We live in a very small state. Connecticut is a tiny state. Rhode Island's the only other small state next to us. And sometimes this state's too freaking big. You know what I mean? We think of, wow, a 10-minute ride to the store is a long time. And a friend of mine who's down south says, well, we can travel up to 60 miles to get to a store. And you're like, that's outrageous. But where I'm going with this is the landmass again. We're so used to where we're calling our homes, and we see all the animals that we normally would see, occasionally with the migrant of like those birds. But still, those birds are showing something that there's a change. And with that change, a lot of things come. The killer bees. I remember being a kid.
Oh, hearing that story?
That scared the shit out of you.
Same here.
I'd be like, we're all going to friggin' die. They're going to come. They're going to just sting us for no reason. We're all going to... Because we inflate the truth because we want a story. So they cause panic. So then they say, these bees are known that if you get stung by even one, it could be deadly. Yeah, if you're allergic to bees, a sting from a honeybee could be deadly.
But they also say, one comes at you, but then they're all coming at you.
Thousands, millions come at you, and that's why you die. It's
like,
because you're just overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's my girl,
Yeah. But they are here. But a lot of people don't want to think it. No, they never made it here. And bullshit. They have them in freaking... when we were in Arizona, I remember... We're talking... Oh, my goodness. 2000... No, not even 2000. 1998, roughly. It wasn't even 2000 yet. We went on a vacation with my mother and father-in-law. Pretty much did one end of Arizona to the other end of Arizona. We landed in Phoenix, drove all the way up through Kingsman, up through Flagstaff, stayed a night at the Grand Canyon. Really cool, by the way. You see animals there.
I've never been out that way. I've been to Vegas once for
amazing.
5 days.
I've never been to Vegas.
But that's the only place out west I've been.
It was so amazing. I want to do the trip again. I would love to do my dream, and this is so corny, but my dream is to get like a nice reconditioned VW bus and just putt down the highway. Because I know those things don't go fast at all. You just putt down the highway, and wherever you go, right, you just kind of lay your head to rest, and this is home for the night, and just kind of, but being able to see the country. A friend of mine and his wife, Tab and Chuck, hello guys, I love you, and my little buddy Dexter, they were talking about doing the same thing, not in a Volkswagen, but they're talking about, get a nice fifth wheel and travel the country. Because like he said, he goes, there's so many places. He goes, we live in a great country, and we just don't get to see much of it. He goes, I want to see as much of it as I can. And I said, that's really a fantastic idea when you think about it. My buddy Phil Aslan, hey Phil, he took his family across country, and this. And where I'm going with this is you can go anywhere you want. So maybe if you wanted to do an investigation on Champ, you go up to, the Great Lakes and you check that out for a while. I've never been. I've always wanted to go there. Another thing is just to actually go and spend time in the desert. I don't mean, like where you'll die, but I'm talking about to actually just drive through the desert like Sedona. It was really beautiful. You see all these flowers that had no idea were even here in this country.
I did get to see the desert being in Vegas.
So beautiful, though, isn't it, though? I mean, a lot of...
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. Flying, I got to see some of the Grand Canyon.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
And they say that, theoretically, with that great flood, they said there would have been so much turmoil in that water. Think about this a second. The power of erosion, that could have been made in 2 weeks.
Wow.
By the flooding that we had. Now is that real? I don't know, but I can tell you that I've been to the Grand Canyon, standing on the southern ridge. looking down thousands of feet, and I'm deathly afraid of heights, and I was okay. I didn't want to get like right up on the edge and sit with my legs hanging over, but I walked up to it.
I would have done that probably.
I know you would have. And more power to you, but I ain't watching you do that. But I went right to the edge, and I took pictures, and I did video and stuff, and Missy took pictures and stuff. But it's a weird concept, because when you're that high up, it's almost as if, and I might be wrong, but at that moment, I felt that if I fall, there's no way you're going to survive that. No. So there's no sense in worrying about it, because you're going to be dead. Not that I want to fall, but I did find myself getting close to the edge and looking down and being very calm. But it's so deep and so surreal. After a while, this is going to sound crazy, but if somebody has been there and seen it, it is so big that you do get almost like a vertigo. You know, you kind of almost like when you take a picture. There was this picture I took without an extended lens. I just had a small pocket camera at the time. And we took a picture, and to this day, I can't tell if it's right side up or right side down, because it's so big. And you see trees, but the trees, the way that they're shaped, it sounds weird, but they can... The picture could almost be inverted.
Wow.
You have to really take a look at the horizon and go, okay, well, no, wait a minute, now so this is the top of it. But looking out over that, it's so vast and so huge. And even looking down there, you go, what can live down there?
Random question for you.
Sure.
Say you misstepped, or someone came up and pushed you and you were falling. Do you leave your eyes open, or do you close them? Do you want to watch the view of your death, or do you want to just close your eyes and not know what's going to happen?
I would probably be so fucking scared my eyes would be glued open. I wouldn't want them to be. It's not saying I'm going to be like, oh yeah, here comes the ground, done, you know. But I mean, I think I'd be. Well, first of all, I can tell you this right now, I would be a mess. And I don't mean before I hit, or when I hit. I mean before I hit.
Absolutely.
There'd be stuff coming out of every end. You wouldn't even want to rescue me, even if I was still alive when you got to me.
There's no way that you would be.
But I gotta be honest with you, that makes.
What a morbid conversation.
Well, you know what? We all are going to go someday. I just hope nobody goes off the, hopefully mine is a peaceful one.
That's what I'm not afraid of dying.
No, I'm not either.
I'm afraid of dying painfully.
Yeah, that would really suck. Or like somebody said, being some animal's meal.
Yeah, that's
in 2 hours you're going to be shit out. You know, it's kind of like,
you lose your dignity at that point.
Yeah, I'm just nothing more than a snack.
Then again, when you think about it, your body's going to decay anyway.
Well, yeah, but let's let it happen where I don't feel it.
Yeah, well, you're not going to feel yourself becoming shit.
No, but you feel yourself up to that part.
Yeah. That might be the that and fire.
Fire, and
although you know what, with fire, you're probably going to lose all feeling.
No.
At some point, your nerves are going to be burnt.
But until it does.
That's the thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Dude, I've burnt my arm like a little girl when I'm cooking, and you know. Yeah. And there's people that you've seen people. We've unfortunately.
This show has taken a dark turn.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna get back to where we're going. We always seem to. I was gonna go with the landscape of the Grand Canyon. How it's so vast, it makes you realize that there could be anything out there, but somehow we turn into burn victims.
I'm gonna be sure to, when I upload this, I'm gonna put that the show is about cryptozoology, cryptids, and random banter.
Yeah, most of our shows are random banter. It just goes to show we're normal people, sort of, kind of, almost.
Whatever normal is.
Yeah, I suppose. But, all right, going back to not being burnt and, keeping your eyes open and falling down. But where I was saying with this is, and we pretty much know what lives, or what can live in the Grand Canyon. Different kinds of animals we think we know could live there. But, it's so big. You can't possibly know what lives in every little corner of land.
Or if there's a secret base there somewhere. I don't know.
I got a story, and this is not fictional. My wife worked with somebody who actually worked in, at the time, it was a secret base. And I want to say Utah or something like that. In Utah. Anyway, it just looked like a mountain. just looked like a regular mountain. Looked like a road going to it, and there was a tunnel, but there was a guard there. And what it was is inside of the mountain was the base. And I think they took, probably used that idea for like Close Encounters. Like the base in the center of the desert and stuff. But again,
did they use the what's the name of that? Is it the Devil's Tower?
Yeah, Devil's Canyon or Devil's Tower. Yeah, I don't think that's where this was, but that's what they used in the movie. Yeah.
There's theories out there that is not land, that it's actually an old tree stump.
It could be.
People believe there was a time where trees were absolutely enormous compared to what they are now.
Dude, think about the red pine forest, right?
Oh yeah, we talked about that.
The redwood forest. You have. That's absolutely possible. Think about this. Think about how big some of those trees are, and those are considered young growth. Do you know what I mean? Well, how big was old growth? You know what I'm saying? They say for every year, I guess, is a ring, right? Or something like right. That. Please, if there's arborists out there or tree guys, please correct me. That might be an old wives' tale, but I was under the impression that each ring meant every year that the tree was alive.
They can at least get an idea,
an estimate,
based
right?
on that, I believe.
But they can also tell what the tree ate and what the soil was like and all that stuff just by what the roots brought up and put into the tree too. So, like I said, the studies of this earth are really, we need to get more on the ball instead of worrying so much about what's up there. Start worrying about a little bit more what's down here. I'm not saying don't worry about space. Absolutely we should. We should absolutely look up.
I like to live with my head up in space.
I do too. I do too. But there's sometimes when you sit here and you just look at what we've got and we just don't know anything about it. But we are really like 7-year-old kids when you think about it. We really are. Cause,
you give us too much credit.
Well, yeah, 7-year-old kids are pretty smart. I'm sorry. I'm waiting for a friend who's actually riding a scooter I had to repair home, and just seeing, hopefully didn't get caught in the shower, so hopefully everything's all right. But yeah, where was I now? I got sidetracked. We were talking about the redwood forest, how big they were, trees, what lives in the ground.
We were talking about the base before that.
We were talking about burning to death and eyeballs wide open in the base.
Before we got off topic,
yeah.
We were talking about the Devil's Tower.
Yes.
We were talking about the base.
The base. Well, what this woman told us is there was this secret base and it was military, and people know of it, but it doesn't look like a secret base. But anyway,
that's the idea.
Yeah, she was just saying though, it was amazing how you would drive to work or drive to the where you're going, and she says it was so weird because during different parts of the times of day, and I noticed this too when I was driving in the desert, you would see like the different varieties of animals coming out. You had your little rodents that would come out and scurry and eat stuff as quick as they can before the sunlight came all the way up, because then you had the birds and the so it's amazing how even animals have shifts. You have the nocturnal animals, and then you have the lynx like us, the mammals that but it's really amazing that we live in such, how do I put this, we live in this country, the United States. I can't speak for other countries because I really don't know, and I would love to come and visit. But we live in a country that is so diverse, I guess, that, we really need to start studying more about, yes, the connection with the stars, because I do think everything's connected with the stars, and I do think everything's connected with the Earth as far as we go, as far as whether we came from another planet, we came here.
The fact that all of our ancestors, tracked the stars, and it was, you think about how important it was. It was like with crops and things.
It's very important.
Knowing when
it's very important.
The equinoxes.
Listen, to say that space is not important is asinine. It's very important. That's how we got time. Think about it. Because of space, we knew that when the sun went down, it became different. It was a different time. So then when the sun came up, we knew, okay, this is when we're going to work. We're going to do everything. And when it gets dark, we're going to go inside where it's safe, or go where it's safe, because there's animals out there that'll come and eat you. And, during the day, we'll hunt for them, and we'll get food and all that stuff. So, I mean, it is very, very important. You know, you have the calendars. They think the Mayan calendar. New theory about that, which is incredible. And again, we're going off base, but really quick, was the Mayan calendar at the year 2012 didn't mean the end of the world. No. What they said it was
the end of a cycle.
Yeah, it was the end of a cycle. It's 80 years or something like that. He said one cycle to the Mayan calendar was based around an 80-year period or something like that.
Well, if we take like the precession of the equinox,
because there's something about the winter solstice,
something that takes about 25,900 years or something.
Okay.
So each degree comes out to 72 years.
Okay, so 80 years, 72 years, rounded up.
Yeah, I think it has to do with that.
Yeah. But I mean, even with that, it's connected with the stars. So yeah, we definitely should forget about that. We should definitely look into it.
Check something real quick. What did I say? 25,900. All right. So if we were to take 72 times 360 degrees in a circle, we get 25,920.
There you go. Then.
So that makes sense.
So there we go then. All right.
That's how many years the wobble on the top of our Earth, because it wobbles.
Yeah.
To make a full, spin around with the wobble, it takes 25,000. They call it a great year.
And it's constantly changing. And we're actually I just heard we're actually in the calendar that does show the most lunar eclipse for the next 80 years, I guess, or something like that. That's what they said, 80 years for that. But that, not getting sidetracked, but what I'm saying is that has to do with the stars. So we learn a lot from that. We learn to always keep our eyes up and look at, sundials for time. But now we look at this in another effect. How the space and the time actually changes the Earth. Obviously, we have winter, we have summer, right, and all this stuff. We have animals that hibernate. We have animals that hunt.
I would like to hibernate.
I pretty much do when my back's killing them. So we might be doing these podcasts from my bed going, oh, my back. How's it going, people? But all in all aside, it's just amazing how, I guess, interconnected everything is. Nothing is irrelevant. Everything is important. But we shouldn't just shift our facts all the way to one point. Listen, with all the money there is, why don't we actually just do a research for mountain gorillas in the United States? Instead of sending everybody over to Africa and sending everybody over to China to study the mountains and the gorillas and the monkeys we have there, why not legitimately just say, okay, you know what, for once and for all, we're going to put either an end to this.
Well, here's the problem. There are people out there, that study in the field of cryptids who are
but they get laughed at.
But yeah, they're called pseudoscience.
Yeah, pseudo.
So they're not going to get funding like you're asking.
Like you said, the mention that pseudo comes up, it wrecks their credibility.
Anything that goes against what mainstream says is automatically a pseudoscience.
Yeah. It's really sad because if we would just not become so complacent and think that this is all there is, this is the way it is, and that's all there is, there's only one way to look at this.
And there was a time where science was pseudoscience because everyone went by religion.
Yeah. And that's also, listen, it comes down to what we always say. You cannot, no matter how much proof you have, and it doesn't matter. If I walked in this room with a Bigfoot now and said, this is a Bigfoot, someone would say, that's bullshit, somebody in a suit. There's always going to be that. Yeah. And like we did for the Patterson film.
Yeah.
Listen, how fucking cool would it have been if that, or if it is real, and people just downplay it because, fear. It's like, well, there's something like that that's living in our country. We can't have that. I don't think it's really so much a state of panic as much as it is a state of disbelief, and it's like me, and I'm guilty of it because I just said
people are set in their ways and they don't want to change a lot of times.
But we all are, including me, because like I said, I want to see it with my own eyes to believe it. But
the one I struggle with the most, and I know I bring this up a lot because it just irritates me beyond no end, are a lot of these people that believe in flat earth. Anytime you come up, they want proof. Any proof that they give you, or you give them, they just say that's fake.
Yeah, or it's a camera lens.
You can't debate someone that is into the flat earth society because they just reject everything.
Well, here's an idea.
And that's why I firmly believe a lot of them out there are just trolling people.
I have been on airplanes, and you're up there, and I realize you're not seeing that maybe it is an optical illusion because the light fractures.
They would say it's because of the window.
Well, yeah.
Because even scientists say that you really can't get a true glimpse of curvature that high. You need to be up very high.
And I can tell you some of the places I have been on Earth. Excuse me again. And I have looked out across, and of course your eye is also only going to depict as far as light is going to have it, because you're only seeing a reflection of light. But I have seen the actual natural curve of the Earth, or as I believe it. Now listen, I saw it, so I believe it. You know what I'm saying? Yep. I understand their theory.
Forget the fact that all the math works and you can make predictions based on that math.
Where I was going to say is going to the Earth is flat. Well, yeah. The Earth is flat for where your feet are walking on it because it's so huge in circumference that you're like a grain of sand on a beach ball. So that grain of sand is going to say, wow, this big, long, flat surface never ends. It just keeps going and keeps going as the ball's turning.
The other argument that drives me nuts is the fact they say, "Oh, we're on a spinning ball going 1,000 miles an hour," and they'll go like this with like a globe. They don't understand 1,000 miles per hour on the size of the Earth is nothing.
Right, it is slowly churning.
To us, if we're walking 3 miles an hour, to an ant, we are unbelievably fast
and huge.
It just, think about this. It takes 24 hours for our planet to make a complete turn. That's not moving very fast.
Wrong. What it is somebody like this with the light spinning it around the Earth. Because don't forget, everything revolves around the Earth.
Well, yeah.
And it's flat. Listen, dude.
I can't argue.
Someday you're going to walk off the edge and you'll see the truth.
I hope I do. I'm sorry, I had to vent a little about that.
I know. There's just...
Now, I'm one of the biggest people that loves conspiracies.
That one dude was hilarious, though. That foul mouth.
Oh, yeah, I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to give him any attention. But I truly believe that he's a troll. An idiot. He's a troll. No, he's a troll. I don't even think he believes it. I think he's flat out trolling people.
But you think he's a real troll? Now, wait a minute. Do you mean like not human troll or like a troll, like a garden to bridge troll?
Yep.
Absolutely. If the Earth's flat, then he is one of them. Yeah. Listen, let's just wing it at this point. We'll just finish out the show with whatever else we want to talk about.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what we were doing anyway. So.
But anyway, listen, one of the things that I really still have a really hard time with is just... I think it's difficult today with the way technology is and how fast and far we can travel the Earth. And,
Fake.
And go to the moon.
Fake.
And, someone asked me, so if you can get a ticket to Mars, would you be on that spaceship? Fuck no.
No, hell no.
You know why? Let me ask you this. All right, it's not going to be like the movies. It's not going to be like Star Trek where you've got like, oh, let's go to the restaurant tonight, or it's a big cruise ship in space. That ain't how it's going to be. You're going to be in a fucking capsule. How are they going to even put enough food in there to make you survive from the trip from Earth to Mars? What, 6 years? Is that what they're saying?
I'm not sure. It depends on how fast you can go.
And what happens with fuel? How do you keep propelling through space? Are you going to have a big sail or something? Or?
Actually, there's different things. But I mean, think about it. There's still the Voyager thingy there that's out like in the Kuiper Belt right now.
Well, don't forget, there's also a Tesla out there.
That's fake too, apparently.
Elon Musk did that.
No, that's pretty amazing.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Imagine you're out in space, you see a freaking astronaut inside of.
I got that same guy that we were talking about.
Yeah.
He goes, the guy in there is not even moving. It's like. You realize that's a mannequin, right? We didn't send a real person out there with nothing. That's why I think he's a troll.
No, you know what that guy is inside of that Tesla? That's the guy who opened up the door on all the dark stuff about Elon Musk. He sent him up in that space thing. Now, how much you want to make a bet that's going to go out now? You hear what those guys said? I bet he's a guy.
I made a joke once on Facebook that there was a dead hooker in the trunk of the Tesla, but
Oh. Yeah, that guy's kind of going off the rails, ain't he? No.
I think he's hysterical and just he's a genius. I think.
Anyway. So where the fuck are we? Oh yeah, cryptozoology, right?
I think I had a couple more things that I was going to mention.
Oh, let's
earlier,
throw them in. What the hell?
I'm not even going to detail on them, but a couple of the ones that I had researched was the Jersey Devil. You'll never guess where that creature supposedly lives.
I thought it was Rhode Island, wasn't it?
Yes. How did you know? The Wendigo, which I believe is more kind of like a
It's a shapeshifter, right?
Yeah,
it's the skinwalker, is what they also call it. The indigo is yeah.
And then I even have mermaid on the list because of
Discovery Channel proved that was real. You saw that, right?
I did see the
wasn't
mermaid
that
under
amazing?
the water. That was some good CGI.
That was not CGI. That was real film, man. I was the guy who filmed it.
Okay then.
Oh my God. And that's the problem, because when you have these mockumentaries,
the problem is
there's
you
people
gotta
out there
know
that
going
believe
in that
that
is
shit.
a mockumentary.
But they didn't do that. When they post it, they're like,
I went into that thinking it was a true documentary. I got halfway through and I'm like, these guys are
started laughing. I'm like, oh, this is a good cartoon. It's pretty good. This is almost what I see in the video games I play. You know what I mean? But that's the problem, because
that was one ugly mermaid.
Oh
too.
Jesus! How is that siren gonna lure me to my end? I see that thing with the teeth. No way, baby.
Well, I told you about how I thought that maybe the mermaids were kind of linked to Atlantis.
There was talk about that. I also think that they were nothing more than they saw a seal. You got a bunch of guys that are on the ship for months.
They could be hallucinating.
They're horny. They're hallucinating. They're starving. They're drunk. Because the water you can't drink, so they drink rum. Because what they used to do is take shitty water, put the rum in it, and drink it. That's why rum and water became a thing, because the rum they thought was going to kill bacteria in some of the water that they might have had stagnant on their ship. So they would mix it with rum and alcohol.
I don't think it works that way.
It does not work that way. Matter of fact, it makes you sicker and makes you hallucinate more. Yeah, so actually, you're actually dehydrating yourself, and then eventually you die. Yeah, it's not good. But think about this now, though. You're on a ship. You haven't seen another person months, except for whoever's on the ship with you. Your imagination is going, you're not eating right. You're not getting the rest you need, because let's face it, you're working 30 freaking hours a day, right?
How's that possible?
It's not. Without going insane, it's not. Look at these crabmen, like you watch Deadliest Catch. They're going for 30 hours. These guys are tripping over their own feet.
You said 30 hours a day.
Or 30 hours a day.
That's why I said I don't know how that's possible.
Well, in the parallel universe, brother.
Oh, okay.
You asked. Why didn't you? I told you I'm tired. Catch me on this shit. 30-hour day.
I did.
A 30-hour shift. There. Okay. So, with your 30-hour day.
So we're talking a day and a quarter then.
Yeah. Well, you're talking for the most part, staying straight up, going in to eat. Maybe you're half asleep while you're eating. Maybe you catch 30 winks, as they say, and you go back out. 30 winks could be 15 minutes, and you're back out again. And now, let's say sleep deprivation, I know the military did do a study on it, and people actually saw shit like they were drunk. Even worse, like they were hallucinating on
LSD.
On LSD. They saw elephants, and they saw all kinds of stuff. And part of the training, I think, Missy was telling me, at one time she wanted to become an air traffic controller, And she did a lot of research. And I think one of the things they do is, like a doctor, they'll put you on like a double shift and make you stay up, for whatever reason they feel that that's the right thing to do. But I really don't think it's a good idea.
Doesn't sound it.
No, even for the doctor that's on for 30 hours straight,
They can't be at their best at that point.
Oh my God. How?
I wonder how many, egregious errors are made at that point in a shift.
I gotta tell you, it does make you start to wonder about people seeing these creatures, as we said,
it's funny you say that, because it made me think back to the the people out in like the Pacific in Midwest.
Yeah
How many of those guys are chomping on magic mushrooms and then see something? I remember hearing somebody, it might have even been Joe Rogan, talking about he spent some time with these guys, and he said they were all on mushrooms.
They're all fucked
It's no
up.
wonder they were seeing shit.
Well, Here's something to think about too. Is
and I've experimented with those mushrooms, so I know some of the crazy shit you can see when you're on them.
Dude, a good portobello.
Those aren't the kind I'm talking about.
Shiitakes, man, unbelievable. Chanterelles, I love them, baby. Oh, you're not talking about those?
No.
Oh, shit. I'll have to eat one of your pizzas you make, a mushroom pizza. We'll eat it.
That's funny. I do remember a time, obviously years ago, where...
Not now, because it's illegal.
I actually put them on a pizza. That's kind of funny.
How'd it taste?
Well, they actually taste absolutely disgusting.
Yes, they taste like shit, because that's where they're grown. But
that is where they're grown.
Yeah, it's cow shit. Yeah, you go out the cow patties, you flip them over, shrooms there, you eat it. Boy, you had to be one hungry son of a bitch to say, you know what? Let's flip over this cow shit. Look, there's a mushroom. Let's eat it. Let's figure this out.
You gotta dry them out first.
Yeah. Could you imagine all that moisture?
No.
Ooh.
No. Anyways.
But I mean, going into this, I mean, a lot of these stories too coming back. With the mermaids were sailors, and they've been out. And let's face it,
those dirty sailors.
Yeah, let's face it, right? You're out there with a bunch of guys. You're gonna.
No disrespect to the sailors out there.
No, I would not be able to do that job. They're definitely strong. They are like the Vikings of men. You know what I mean? These guys would go out there and just kick ass until they dropped.
The Navy SEALs have got to be a bunch of the toughest mother effers on this planet.
I will tell you, and word out to the Marines too. Actually, any military. Come on, any military. The stuff that you guys have to do through your training, and unless you're in that particular outfit, you really don't know what the person's going through. I mean, Jesus Christ.
I may not agree with a lot of things our government does and our military does, but I have nothing but the utmost respect for anyone that serves in our military.
I'll tell you, there are so many heroes around us we just don't take the time out to thank. And if you do see somebody, and a lot of these guys, just shake their hand and say thank you. You don't have to say much more than that. Vietnam vets, I always say welcome home, because I know they didn't get the proper respect when they came home.
Yeah.
So word of advice is, if you shoot a smile, shake somebody's hand, if you do that to one person and that one person does it to one person, it's going to start spreading, and it does make a difference. Listen, if you could change somebody's life by simply giving them 5 minutes and listening to them and maybe help them, that's really what it's about, and I am so freaking burnt out from being so exhausted. I'm starting to see elephants, man, 'cause I'm tired.
You sure it's not Bigfoot?
It might be. Let me finish this coffee and I'll probably be seeing Bigfoot, but listen, all jokes aside, there are so many things in this world that we haven't even touched. Charlie Daniels has a great song, Woolly Swamp. If you listen to the word for word of that, there's some things in this world we just can't explain. And everything does have an explanation, but you have to look in the right places for the clues and the right answers, so...
if you think about it, any unknown phenomena or mystery is just something that hasn't been explained yet.
Well, think about this, okay? Maybe this will help people understand a little bit more about creatures and stuff like that. Think about, just for a second, let's change creatures into technology for a second. All right. We're sitting here in a room in your house, broadcasting, to whoever will watch.
Yeah.
But literally, if you could get 1 million people to watch it.
It's out there and available.
Exactly. But what I'm saying,
number of people have access to it.
Back up here a second. We're going to go back to, let's just go to 1960s, 68, space race, Cold War thing. Let's go to around that time, okay? Mm-hmm. Think about this a second. We had computers that were so big, they would probably fill your house, right? With all these banks of data that spit out tape that gave you equations to... And now we have... Think about this a second. We have this, right? This, in the matter of 45 years, we went from a computer the size of this room to this little thing here. Now, back in the 60s...
They say that these things here have more computing power than what was used to go to the moon.
Here's the thing for you. There was so little memory in the actual computer that was on board in the space shuttle that a standard, not scientific calculator, but the shit one you get with the button that sometimes works with the light and whatnot you get from Walmart for $2.99 has more power than that computer inside of that space capsule had.
That's amazing.
What the fuck? And you're putting people but where I'm going with this is we came this far with technology. Now look at this as an animal. When we first started looking up stuff, you had people like Audubon, right? Drawing all these different birds. Some birds they said he even made up because he could not find the right species, so he made them up. And then later on, they found out that through his guesses, he was pretty close.
Wow.
Pretty close, because he knew the environment. He knew how big a bird would be for that. He knew what they ate. Now, let's face it. Unfortunately, in order to do that, you got to destroy the bird you're studying, because you have to find out what it eats and all that stuff. So, sorry, tree huggers. I'm a tree hugger, too, to a point, but sometimes it's terrible. But, who knows? He might have walked up and found a bird dead on the ground, and he looked at it and said, oh, this is a so-and-so. Who knows? But going from that, from studying birds, that was like the very first computer on the space shuttle. That's all that they had in sight for them, so that's all they studied was what was in variable sight. They would travel from country to country, learn what this had, what that had. But again, going back to this with the Bigfoot and the Loch Ness, we don't do it because it sounds sillier, because maybe we're too afraid to look into it. Or maybe us true believers are afraid of the story that we'll get that'll shed light and it'll be all bullshit. So there is that aspect too, so I'm being a devil's advocate there. Maybe it is all a bunch of hogwash and these people are all tripping their balls off from mushrooms or whatever. Or the space aliens came down and they put a probe in them and now they see, the aliens plus Bigfoot plus ghosts and we're all a bunch of crazy asses and that's all there's to it. But if there's one little tiny speck of evidence out there that can change the way we look at things or change the way that our behavior is towards other things, I think we should move forward with it. We should be able to say, you know what, we've been so afraid of this for so long now. Let's see what we can do to, first of all, okay, if you don't want proof it's real, then prove to me it's not real. Prove to me that there's not enough food. I want to know that the soil isn't good enough to have an animal that size living there. And why are we the only place, again, I repeat myself like a broken frickin' record, that has the same climate of all these other places and we don't have mountain gorillas or we don't have certain species? Now, they could have been here, they might have died off. Okay. Maybe. But maybe they're still there. I've camped my whole life, in Connecticut. We've gone to Massachusetts a little bit here and there, but in my whole life in Connecticut, ever since I was a young kid, we camped. I got my friends into camping. They're novice, man. They're professional, and I'm the guy stuck in the weeds with my little camper and stuff. But what I'm going with this is we would go to sleep and some nights you'd hear a bobcat. What the hell was that? It sounds like a woman screaming. You would hear, unfortunately animals getting angry where the screaming comes in as well. Coyotes will scare the shit out of you. If that doesn't sound like a Bigfoot, I don't know what does. You hear all this stuff on TV. Oh, that was a Bigfoot. No, that was a fucking coyote. I'm from Connecticut. I know that was a coyote. Oh, there was a tree knock. Yeah, okay, there's a tree knock. Could be a big fucking ass woodpecker.
I was just thinking that.
Why not? Think about it. You ever hear a woodpecker? It's this big and it makes that much noise. Now, what happens if you have...
That sound carries, too.
Oh, my God. What if you have, pileated woodpeckers, those big suckers like Woody Woodpecker? They're huge. They're like the size of a rooster. Now, imagine the noise that thing makes. So maybe those knocks are nothing more than that. As far as the Mothman goes, some people believe it was a big owl. Some people think,
that's something I was going to bring
up.
The
red eyes, it looks like an owl. When you think about it, there are some species of owl, not quite as big as a guy, Well, how do we know that there isn't a big species of owl out there?
It goes back to, people get, off guard on something.
Sure.
Their heightened sense of,
absolutely,
getting to fight or flight mode, and they see something, and then of course it gets embellished in their mind. So again, you could be dealing with something that was just, no bigger than a large owl, and to them it was something that was 5-6 feet.
And going on to what you said, I mean, if you think about it, this also proves well with investigations like we go on. There's sometimes you actually have to calm yourself down because you hear a noise, you get excited, and you're like, "Whoa, dude, we might have," and then you have to go, "Oh shit, that was just the door." And it was.
I think that's a good thing to bring up because we're usually pretty good about with the when we have our recorders going.
Absolutely.
That we will make a note of it right there on the spot.
Absolutely. That
was so and so that just stepped. I just sneezed, or just
or my stomach rumbled, and it sounds like a growl, but you don't want it to be.
Those recorders pick up.
Oh my God!
Pick up sound.
Absolutely, and that's something else. Sorry, folks. Itchy ear. Now I got an itchy nose from my allergies. I'm a mess tonight. But going back with this, I mean, like I said, maybe these people actually did see the stuff, and they just were at the right place at the right time. When all the stars line up and maybe all the dimensions were completely in line and you saw something. Listen, those are still answers we're still trying to find too. So, with that being said, always keep your head up, keep your focus forward or looking up occasionally at the stars. Always look at the flat ground that we're walking on flat earth.
Jesus.
Make sure you don't fall off the edge. Or break through the ice wall? Is that what it is? It's an ice wall?
Yeah, Antarctica's really an ice wall. And don't forget
the dome.
Don't forget the dome.
We got a dome. Yeah, we have a what is it? Is it plexiglass dome we got?
I have no idea.
But it's a dome.
Yeah.
So we're a snow globe. We're flat with a dome.
You said globe.
Oh yeah, I did. How would you put that?
We're I don't know.
A snow dome?
We'll have to. Ooh, a snow dome.
We're a snow doming.
I like that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah. So with that being said, good night, flat earthers. Good night, everyone.
We'll see you next week.
Sorry, this show just went fucking off the rails, but it was fun anyway.
Oh, I had a blast tonight.
Sorry we didn't do the live thing, guys. We're both running on fumes. He hurt himself moving a friend in. My back is all messed up, so we're trying to get through this, and we hope you had a good time. We hope you watch us. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Give us also likes on Facebook. Please tell your friends and family to check us out. It's the only way we're going to grow. And we'd also like to take in any kind of suggestions. Feel free to personal message either Dan or myself or Melissa. Melissa's on Facebook almost 24/7. So if you can't get a hold of us, look up Melissa Good and send her some messages of some stuff you want to see on the show as well, because she's still, actually the whole group is still part of this. We're just trying to do something in between, and hopefully maybe we strike something where people like it and they want to keep watching. Yeah. So,
and what are we going to do next week?
Do you want to try to see if we move this to the house, and we'll see if we can do a live feed, just see if it works?
Sure.
And if worse comes to worse, we do this.
Yeah.
And we'll film this, but we'll do it on you want to do it on the Mandela effect and the dimensional stuff?
Yeah, let's do that.
And that will lead us into a nice trajectory to UFOs, and also I want to so next week will be that Mandela effect and whatnot. Then we'll do the Anki and the.
Okay, we'll do Anunnaki that week.
I need to learn this stuff because it's fascinating. It's new to me, but you will be.
I've got a pretty good.
You'll be the teacher, and I will be the student.
I got a pretty good basis on that one. So
I'm gonna have a ton of questions for you,
and I will do my best to answer.
And I might be the devil's advocate with some of them.
Hey, that's what I hope you do.
Okay, good. So with that, I should wear that I'm with Dopey shirt. The Dopey shirt.
Yeah.
Should I wear that?
Definitely.
And you can have the arrow that says "asshole sits on this side of me."
I don't have that shirt.
We'll get one made.
We'll have to get one. Okay.
Well, with that saying, I'm Eric.
And I'm Dan.
And thanks for tuning in. We hope we got you chuckling a little bit, if anything. And don't forget to comment. There are no stupid questions. The only stupid questions are ones that aren't asked.
There are no stupid questions. Just stupid people who ask questions. I'm kidding.
No, just the flat earthers are stupid. But no, they're not stupid. They're just kind of
irritating.
Wow. I often wonder what happens What would happen if you put one of them on a actual spaceship and sent them up? That would be perfect.
That would be.
Just to say, you know what, guys, it's time to shut you the fuck up. You're going on this. Oh, it was a fake rocket ship. It was a land studio. There's always some excuse, I guess.
That's why I really believe a lot of them are just trolling.
Yeah. See what they can stir up and cause people to get mad. I'm not going to get mad. That's why I'm not on Facebook that much anymore, because I just got so tired of all the bullshit. So, and then once you find out they're selling all my great information that I'm hiding from everybody, which was bullshit. They shouldn't have done that. That kind of made me upset, which might get our videos flagged. But I just want to say that I think it's time that as people, we start to become a little more responsible for what we say and our actions, but also as people, not to take everything so 100% literal. I think a lot of people take things out of context, which I'm sure we're going to have people here. We're going to have people here, I'm sure, and I'm sure they're going to say, you guys are idiots because you made fun of this or made fun of that. We made fun of everything, man.
Including ourselves.
And the thing is, if you can't laugh once in a while and just break up from the monotony, because the day that we had and the last couple days that I had, oh man, you got to walk in our shoes before, that's part of the reason why we do this. We're blowing up steam and trying to have some fun. So if we offend anybody,
we mean no disrespect to anybody.
there was nothing meant in any disrespect, and we just want to say that now, and we'll probably have to say this almost at the closing of every show, but I will say what I always say. God bless you all. Thank you all for tuning in, whoever did. Thank you for all of our friends and family who have given us support. We hope you like our show. We hope we can do more of these, and hopefully we'll be able to do some call-ins and get things linked up. Next week we will try to do a live show. There is no promises. I'm not going to promise you it's going to work out fine, because we're still kind of looking at each other like, let's give it a shot. I suppose it'll work.
We'll give it a shot, though.
But if it doesn't, there will be some show, whether it be a Thursday or Friday. We're trying to also figure out what's the best day that works for all of our friends out there, too, because we know everybody works, and there's different time zones for some of our friends. So, with that being said, we wanted to try to put something out there this week, even though we're running on fumes. And but next week should be good. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That's putting a lot of weight on your shoulders, though, because you know a lot more about that than I do. But I will educate myself this week. Maybe we'll get together, we'll talk for some coffee and go over some notes and stuff. But if there's anybody out there who is knowledgeable about this and wants to join in,
and we would love any skeptic to give feedback, because again, there's a lot of them that I can dismiss right off the bat.
Sure.
There's ones that I'm kind of on the fence with, and then there's ones that I completely are behind. So
well, just even. And listen, I'm going to tell you, as I told Dan when he first came up to me with this, I said, I'm not so sure about it. There's so many different things. And then I said to him, but then again, we chase shadows at night. So why not keep an open mind? Don't become complacent. And don't believe everything you see or read or hear as well. If you have questions, you need to ask them. It's the only way you're going to find answers. And if you can't find answers by asking questions, then you go and you do some researching and investigating. And you will find the answers, at least to some of your questions. But usually it just leads to more questions.
I like to say, believe none of what you hear and half of what you see.
That's a good one. I like that one. Yeah. And with that being said,
I think we're going to end with that.
I think with that being said, that's all there is to say.
Absolutely.
Good night, everyone. God bless. Have a great night. Have a nice weekend. We'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye. Oh.